Hello and welcome to a Tuesday episode of Hornets Daily, your one-stop shop for all things Charlotte Hornets. As always, we're presented by the good people over at FanArc, and I'm your host, Vance Ballard, but you know by now you can call me VB. I want to thank everybody out there for joining us today, watching along with us. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a like and a comment down in the comment section as we try and grow and build this family here on the Hornets Daily program. We like to see what you guys are saying down in the comment section, interact with you a little bit down there, and see your thoughts on the program as well. It is a Tuesday. It's the middle of September, right in the heart of it. We're approaching training camp. We're approaching the preseason. Regular season not that far away. Basketball is coming, folks, but there's still some stuff going on in the Queen City. We've got a little bit on the docket for the program today. One of the Hornets' biggest fears this season may not be what you think it is. It might not be injury and unhealthiness on the team. It may be something different. We'll talk a little bit about that on the program today. And should there be some concern with the rookie Con Knippel? We know about his floor. We know about his IQ, all of the good things about his game. But is there a concern in one aspect? I'll talk about that today as well. And just because it's September doesn't mean the rumor mill is taking a break, folks. We're going to take a trip out to our old trusty friend, the rumor mill, and see where the Hornets are landing on that today. And then we're going to wrap the show up with a little bit of rookie talk about Ryan Kalkbrenner. What kind of role is he going to play? What kind of impact can he have? Will he have on this regular season coming up? If you remember and you know anything about the program, you know we don't beat around the bush here. We like to dive head first into the show, and that's exactly what we're going to do here today. As I mentioned, the Hornets' biggest fear this season may not be injury concerns after all. We know about all of the concerns in terms of injury and health with everyone on the Hornets. LaMelo Ball, we know about his tumultuous injury history. Brandon Miller coming back from a wrist injury. Trey Mann coming off a back injury. Grant Williams still expected to return sometime around Christmas. Josh Green right now dealing with a shoulder injury. So we know about all of the injury concerns. We know how important it's going to be for the Hornets to stay healthy this season. But what if they manage to stay healthy and they just aren't good? That, I think, is their biggest fear. That's the biggest concern within the Charlotte organization right now, is that if the team does stay healthy and they underperform, that is a bigger problem. Now, on paper, this should not be an issue. We know what the Hornets have added. We know the pieces they've put in place to make themselves better, and again, on paper, they have done that for sure, but it's still a lot of new pieces, a lot of moving parts coming into this season, and going to take some time to develop that chemistry and really understand the other guys on the roster that you're playing on the floor with. We know they added the 4 rookies this offseason: Con Knippel, Liam McNeely, Ryan Kalkbrenner, Tidjane James. We know about Colin Sexton, Spencer Dinwiddie. They expect their brand new players who should probably play big roles this season. Mason Plumlee, he's been a Hornet before, but not with these new guys, this new group around him. So he is a new guy coming in, going to have to develop that chemistry as well. Tidjane Salaün, still very young. Moussa Diabate trying to find his way with this new group. There's a lot of factors that come into play outside of just health. This team's got to learn to play together and really mesh as a team as well. And now you guys all know that I have been going to bat and going to continue to go to bat for Moussa Diabate and Ryan Kalkbrenner. I think that just because it's not very deep, just because it's unknown at the center position, doesn't mean it's going to be bad. I think both of those guys are going to be more than capable of at least not messing things up when they're on the floor. They're not going to make it's not going to be a downturn in production. They're both going to be able to hold their own. But I could be wrong about that. Now, I'm going to say that as well. I'm going to go to bat for those guys. I don't believe they're going to struggle. I don't believe they're going to be the problem. I don't believe they're going to cost this team anything too detrimental. But again, I could be wrong about that. People are wrong all the time. I'm okay with saying that. I could be. I don't think I'm going to be, but I could be. Now, we know that the Hornets' top priority is clearly going to be staying healthy, but their biggest concern, their biggest fear might not be health. It should just be trying to be good, trying to improve, trying to be better than they were last year, trying to eclipse that 30-win threshold. The biggest fear is for the Hornets is going to be if they do stay healthy and are just unable to accomplish those things, and it turns out they just might not be very good. That's going to be a whole new obstacle to overcome. I'm not sure how realistic that is, because I do think this team has been put together nicely. I do think they're going to come together and mesh and play well after training camp, preseason, and as we get into the regular season. I do think this team is going to start to click. They're going to start to hit on all cylinders. But if not, that is a major fear for the Hornets this season, as it will require a step back and to take a 30,000-foot view of the rebuild that they're in the process of, if it does turn out to be unsuccessful and look as if it's going to fail. That could be an important thing for the Hornets to concern themselves with. Hopefully they don't have to. Again, I don't think that's going to be the case, but it could be the biggest fear for the Hornets, staying healthy and just being bad. That could be a real problem. One of the pieces that are going to play a major role in that is, of course, number 4 overall pick, rookie Kon Knueppel. He's going to have a major role with the team this season. We know that. We've talked at length about Kon and what role he's going to play, what he brings to the table this year, all of the good things about him, all of his upside, his sharpshooting ability. He's a great passer. We know that. He does some of his best work without the ball in his hands. He's got a super high basketball IQ, and one of the major reasons he was drafted along with the other 3 guys, but Kon specifically, is his ultra competitiveness. We know he is a extremely ultra competitor. He's an extremely competitive person. He does whatever is necessary to help his team win. So we know we're well aware of all of the good things, all of the complimentary side of Kon Knueppel's game. But as the season approaches, as training camp and the preseason get here, regular season on the way, as that starts to get closer, should we be concerned about him on the defensive end of the floor? Is he going to be able to develop enough to become a prominent perimeter defender, to become someone who's not going to be a crutch on that end of the floor? Does he have the athletic ability to develop into the perimeter, into a legitimate perimeter defender in the NBA? Can he stay in front of the quicker, smaller guards? Can he keep guys from getting to their spots when he's playing on the wing? These are all questions that, of course, we're going to have to wait to see answered as the future unfolds. But right now, they are the main concerns with Knueppel. He wasn't drafted because of his lockdown defensive ability. He's not known as a freak athlete. He's not nearly as athletic as his Tidjane James, who was a teammate of his last year at Duke and drafted in the second round by the Hornets. He's not the athlete that Liam McNeely is either, but that's not exactly what he was brought in to do. Again, his sharpshooting and his offensive ability are more why he was drafted. But should he be a major concern on the defensive end going into his rookie year? That is going to be a major question that's going to need to be answered pretty quickly. We know, again, the floor offensively for Kon Knueppel is very, very high. That's not going to be the problem. But the unknowns, again, they come on that defensive side of the ball. Not in terms of effort or energy put forth on the floor. We know he gives 100%, maybe more than that if that's possible, every time he's on the floor, for the entire time he's on the floor. So it's not that he's not going to be trying, not that he's not going to be putting forth the effort on the defensive end. It's really going to be about, can he actually do it? Does he have the ability? Can he continue to develop his game? I don't think that's going to be a problem. I know he's hard in the gym, continuing to work throughout the entire summer and to get better and to improve. But it could be an ability problem. He could just be what he is as a defender, a guy who is a half a step slower than the quicker guys, but he's longer and bigger, so he can use his advantage that way when he tries to, as he recovers against those smaller guys. He can use his size to his advantage on the wing, as well as he'll be similarly sized to some of those guys he's got to guard. So there are ways he can work around whatever crutches he may have on the defensive end. It's just going to be about him taking the time to learn and understand how he is best on that end of the floor. Now, if he's in the starting lineup with Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball, then that could make the Hornets a legitimate offensive threat, as well as guys like Miles Bridges That's four really good offensive basketball players. If Bridges sticks around, if he continues to score at a 20-point per game rate, which I don't think he'll need to this year, but he may improve his shooting percentage as a whole. If that is the case, the Hornets are a legitimate offensive threat, but they could struggle on the defensive end, so it'll be important for them to be an offensive threat because that lineup, those four guys that I just mentioned, have the potential, if things go incorrectly, to give up a lot of points. So they too are going to need to score a lot of points to match that effort. If that is the case, if they do turn out to not be great on the defensive end of the floor there, if they turn out to struggle a little bit because of Khan. We know Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball, not bad, getting better, but not elite defenders by any means. They set a pretty low bar in terms of can Khan be better than them on defense. Brandon Miller, I think he's going to take a step forward this year on defense, but with LaMelo's ankles and his injury history, we kind of know what we're going to get on that end of the floor from him. He still puts forth the effort, and he seems to be doing just that in all aspects of his game this offseason. He seems to be working a little harder, keeping himself healthy, trying to get better and develop on both ends of the floor. But we do kind of understand what we're going to get from LaMelo on that end. So it'll be important for Khan to develop, and it may be a concern to have with him on the defensive end of the floor. Hopefully he'll put that concern to rest relatively quickly going into this season, and he'll be just fine on the defensive end and won't be a crutch or won't hamper the Hornets on that end of the floor. Now, as we mentioned, it is the middle of September. Switching gears here, the rumor mill has not stopped. It's still going hot and heavy, firing off all kinds of takes. We've got another one today mentioning the Charlotte Hornets. Thomas Gorski over at Sports Illustrated thinks that the Hornets could benefit from turning Josh Green into Daniel Gafford. Now, when I say it that way, I think everybody would agree that would be a big improvement for the Hornets if they are able to turn Josh Green into Daniel Gafford. But no offense to Gorski, he kind of buries the headline a little bit here. I'll get to it in just a second. With the rest of the trade, kind of leaves out some other important pieces that would bring in Gafford from Dallas. Now, we know Josh Green, a little bit about him. We know he's still dealing with that shoulder injury, a bit of an unclear timeline for when he is going to return, and when he does, at this point, I'm not sure he's got a spot to return to. Khan's offensive game is so much better than his that's going to keep him off the floor. Khan will surpass him in the rotation. Brandon Miller is there, Spencer Dinwiddie as well. So there's plenty of wings and guards and guys that kind of play the same position, fill the same role as a Josh Green. So even when he does come back from his shoulder injury, there's not really a spot at the moment for him to return to, which could be why Gorski and many other guys we've heard Green mentioned in several trade rumors this year, but could be why Gorski thinks he might be on the move right now. Now, back to burying the lead there. Gorski's full mock trade would see Charlotte send Josh Green, Tidjane Salaün, and a 2027 first-round pick to Dallas. It would be their first-round pick going back to them, as a matter of fact, in return for Daniel Gafford. Now, you can probably guess, knowing that you know about me, listening to the show, having watched along with us, that I'm not a fan of this move. You know, I don't really love giving up young assets as well as first-round picks when the preach and the talk has been constantly about building for the future here in Charlotte. So, you know, I'm not a major fan of this. I completely understand that Daniel Gafford would fill a major need for the Hornets, or at least he'd make the experts and the writers and everyone feel like a need has been filled for the Hornets. But it feels to me like that's just a lot to give up. It's asking a lot to come off of for Daniel Gafford back in return. Now, I know he would fit relatively perfectly in this Hornets system. He is a proven defender. He's not a slouch on the offensive end, and he is excellent in the pick and roll, which Charles Lee loves to run in his offensive sets as well. So Gafford would be a nice fit. Again, he would really anchor that defense and allow for Moussa Diabate to move back down to his original 4 position, where he may be able to do a little bit more work, and the two of them on the floor at the same time would be a real threat inside and defensively as well. So I understand the benefits. I know what it would do to make that move for Daniel Gafford. I know how it would help the Hornets, but I just think that is a little bit too much to give up. Now, I could be convinced into trading Tidjane Salaün for the as part of this package, but I do think he's in for a big year. I think he's going to take huge steps forwards on both ends of the floor. I liked what I saw from him in Summer League out in Las Vegas. In the 2 games he played, averaged a double-double, scored double figures, and double-digit rebounds in both. So he's turned the corner, or seeming to be turning the corner offensively. We know about the promise and the upside that he has. That's why he was drafted 6th overall. But I could still be talked into, I could be convinced into moving him, although he could be a potential important piece for this team in the future. What really gets me, what puts me so far away from liking this trade is that additional first-round pick. It's unprotected. It goes back to Dallas in 2027, and that I think that is where it goes just a little bit over the line for me. If the Hornets mean what they've been saying all offseason long, really for 2 years now, Jeff Peterson, Charles Lee have been preaching building for the future, have been preaching trying to build something consistent here and turn this organization around. Giving up a 2027 pick to me feels counterproductive to that entire mission. Now, that would also mean that if the Hornets get Gafford, it would be a clear sign that they're trying to win now as well as in the future. They'd keep some young guys around. Obviously not Tidjane Salaün, but they would keep the rest of the young core around. They'd keep all 4 of their rookies in-house. And they would add a guy like Daniel Gafford who would make them a much more serious contender in the East. I don't know if contender is even the right word, but a much more serious threat in the Eastern Conference. It would show that they are serious about making the move towards the playoffs right now. But again, if they mean what they've been saying, if they mean what they've been preaching, Jeff Peterson, Charles Lee, and company, if they mean that about building for the future, if they mean that about turning things around and making and getting consistent winning seasons here in Charlotte, then trying to make this move that shows you're ready to win now is counterproductive. Now, I don't want to knock that because I would be in full support of winning now, don't get me wrong. But I just think there's a different way to go about it. I'm not sure if giving up that 2027 first-round pick as well as Tidjane Salaün, who in all reality is also a first-round pick. I mean, he was the number 6 overall pick last year, and we haven't really seen what he can do. We know he was drafted to be a development project, and he's last year was used that way until he was thrust into the action earlier than planned, so we haven't really let that developmental plan unfold yet for Salaün. So moving on from him, I too think might be a little bit risky. But if Josh Green and Salaün are what it takes to get a guy like Daniel Gafford in here, again, I can understand the need. I can understand why that would be done. Again, the move would definitely show that Charlotte is ready to win now, which I'm sure fans would not be upset about. It just would be kind of counterproductive going against what they have been preaching all year long, or all summer long, and really all last year as well, as the new regime took over and things are trying to be moved in the right direction. Switching gears again, another important piece of that future, another important piece of moving in the right direction is second-round pick Ryan Kalkbrenner, the big man out of Creighton. We've talked a lot about all of the rookies this summer and the roles they're going to play this year. We've mentioned Sion James heavily in the last couple weeks. We've talked about Liam McNeely and the potential he has to sneak his way into a big role in the rotation. And we, of course, know that Con Knippel comes in with a lot of expectations. He's trending towards being a starter on opening night, but if not, he will pretty quickly probably work his way into that starting lineup. So we've talked a lot about all of the rookies, and I specifically have mentioned Ryan Kalkbrenner several times, and that I think he will play a much more important role as a rookie than maybe originally anticipated when he was drafted, and maybe more a larger role than most people think he's going to play. I think that Kalkbrenner has the potential to be the most impactful of all the rookies this season. Now, I'm not saying that as to be he's going to get the most minutes or he's going to move his way into the starting lineup and be more prominent than Con Knippel. I don't think that. I think Con is going to get the bulk of the minutes for the rookies. He's going to get the bulk of the shine. He's going to get the bulk of the conversation. But just sheerly by happenstance, by need, due to the lack of depth at his position, Kalkbrenner is going to be forced onto the basketball court with some very meaningful minutes left to be played. he's going to have to go in and play in some meaningful games this year in a big spot and a big time as a rookie. So again, that's what I mean when I say the biggest impact. He's going to be the one on the floor at the most important times with the most to do. Con Knipple, while yes, he may be on the floor, some of the things he does LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller can kind of make up for that. They can help him out more so than Kalkbrenner. He's going to be in that paint by himself. He's going to be the sole rim protector when he is on the floor. That's going to be his job, unless for some reason he develops faster than we think. He becomes a brighter spot at center, and it does allow for him to play with Musa on the floor at the same time. That would drastically change the Hornets' interior defense. But if not, Kalkbrenner is going to have to be that guy. So I think just due to sheer need and by force almost, he's going to have a one of the larger, if not the largest, impacts of this rookie class. But I think that Kalkbrenner is ready for that, though. I know I've gone to bat for Musa several times. I'm ready to do it for Kalkbrenner as well. I think he is ready to be thrust into those important times. I think he's ready to be thrown into the flames of his rookie season, playing important minutes. Experience is not... Now, NBA experience, obviously, that's not what I'm talking about, but experience overall is not an issue with Kalkbrenner. He played 5 years at Creighton. He's won the Big East Defensive Player of the Year a handful of times as well. So he understands being on the court. His longevity is very proven. He did not miss many games at Creighton. Again, played high-level basketball for 5 years while he was there. He's 7'3". He was drafted because he's already an NBA-level defender on the inside. So that's not something. It's obviously going to need some work. You can never have to stop working on a facet of the game, but that is the most ready he is for the NBA, is on the defensive end right now. Kalkbrenner also showed a little bit better footwork and quickness and athleticism out in Las Vegas in the Summer League than I was expecting, which is a nice surprise. It shows that he is further along in development than we thought. He may not have as far to go, especially when it comes to moving out towards the perimeter with some of the more modern bigs playing the way that they do. He's plenty long enough to where if he gets out there, getting a shot off is going to be very difficult over the 7'3" big man. So that is going to be an important role for him as well. The biggest question about Kalkbrenner is obviously his offense. It's not bad, I'm not saying that, but how will it transition and develop into the NBA level? We know he played in the same system for the last 5 years at Creighton, so that's going to be a new learning curve. We've heard him earlier in the summer talk about that. He's aware that it's going to take some time to learn and understand a brand new system after 5 years in the same one. We also know he can shoot the basketball. We heard him say in a press conference after practice, or in a interview after practice one day, that he has been given the green light if he is open to, quote, let it fly. So the coaching staff trusts his shooting ability. We know his shooting, it's there. But if he can develop and become someone who can consistently hit that shot from deep and consistently drag the defense out with him, that will benefit offensively, as well as it'll open up the paint for guys like LaMelo, Brandon Miller, and Con to drive with a free lane, create their space, and get to the basket, which is something they're all three exceptionally good at. Now, can Ryan Kalkbrenner get a little bit stronger around the rim offensively and start to kind of dominate the inside on that end of the floor when he does have the size advantage, which will be quite a bit? If he can do that, I think that'll only make him more threatening to other teams. That'll only make them have to take him more seriously, and again, just increase the Hornets' offensive ability, as he is now become a threat that people have to keep their eyes on. Now, it's a big if, don't get me wrong, a big Ryan Kalkbrenner-sized if, but if he can develop his offensive game on the go as the season progresses, it's not something he's going to have time to do other than this summer and into training camp. But as the regular season unfolds, if he can develop that offensive game on the go, he can make a real case for more minutes and potentially slide himself into that starting lineup. Again, I don't want to go too deep into it, but if Kalkbrenner does show good promise and he does slide into the starting lineup, it may be Miles Bridges' move to the bench because Musa is now able to play the 4, and he's going to be a little bit more impactful on the defensive end, and his rebounding ability can't really be stuffed on the bench but for so long. So that could be interesting as well if Kalkbrenner is able to slide himself into the starting lineup at some point this season. What other changes what other dominoes are going to fall because of that. Now, Kalkbrenner could give Charlotte a lot more flexibility with their rotation as well, as which is kind of what I'm talking about. It allows for Musa to play 4, allows for Miles Bridges to play at different times. Kalkbrenner can be an anchor for the second unit as well if that's what Charles Lee decides to do with him. There's a lot of promise with this big man, and again, all of these are reasons I think he is probably going to be one of, if not the most impactful rookie on the roster this season, maybe even the most important rookie on the roster this season, just because with all of the depth around Khan and his position, the Hornets can afford maybe for a little more for him to struggle in his rookie season than they can for Kalkbrenner. It's going to be crucial for him to come out and develop the right way and be a competent center. Despite being just a rookie, a lot of pressure is going to be on him from that regard. But again, I think Kalkbrenner is ready to handle it. I think he's going to be just fine. And that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on as we get closer to the regular season. But that's going to do it for today's show, ladies and gentlemen. As always, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. Leave a like and a comment down in the comment section. And we'll see you right back here tomorrow for a brand new episode of